am sure you've had one of those situations where a team member is telling you things or doing things and you just wonder, do I really need to deal with this? Is this part of my job? Over the years, I have coached managers at all levels of an organization, and everyone has had one of those situations where a team member is acting in ways that make you feel like, I really need to put some boundaries in place. But you might not know exactly how to do that without alienating them. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to The Modern Manager. I am Amy Canfor Stewart. I'm so glad you've joined me. Every week, I share tips and strategies for how to be a rockstar manager with a thriving team. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a video. Managing people is all about relationships, connection, support, but that requires a level of boundary setting in order for everyone to do their best and be their best. Without clear boundaries, you risk burnout and unhealthy emotional dynamics, a lack of trust or respect, and all kinds of other things that can really interfere with the workplace. So let's take a look at a couple of common scenarios where you might want to set some boundaries and how to do that like a pro. Scenario number 1, the oversharer. This was a big one during the pandemic. I had so many clients who would complain that a team member would show up in their office or start at the beginning of a Zoom meeting and someone would ask, how are you? And the answer would be so much about their personal life that really felt uncomfortable to be hearing the inside workings of someone's financial situation or what's going on with their partner or their children or something else in their life. And it's tough because as a manager, you of course want to be supportive. You want to be a kind listener, but it also might make you a little uncomfortable feeling like you know a lot about something with this person that you probably shouldn't know. So what do? Well, the first thing you can do is to be clear that you're hearing them and you support them, but that you're not the right person for them to be sharing this information with. So saying something like, wow, that feels really tough. It sounds like you're in a tough situation or having a really hard moment. Have you gotten support elsewhere? Have you talked to HR? Maybe there's some external resources that could be the right people to support you through this, right? Pointing them in a different direction is strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is to redirect them towards the work. Sounds like a really hard situation that you're in. Let's figure out what we can do at work to make sure that you're getting the support here that you need for your workload. This is not about taking things off their plate or trying to make any adjustments, but really trying to redirect the conversation away from the personal topics and back into the work topics. Scenario number 2, the constant interrupter. This one has been more of a thing when we're back working in offices together. And if you're working remotely, it might show up a little differently. But in essence, this is the person who is constantly pinging you, either Slack message after Slack message after Slack message, or they're coming over to your desk and they're kind of interrupting you and asking questions. But whichever form it takes, whether it's an in-person or it's digital, they're just constantly asking you questions and needing your help and wanting you to look at something before they're willing to do the work, which makes it really hard for you to get your work done because you're being interrupted all the time by this other person. So here are a few things you can do about this. The first is to set up an office hours. Create a specific time of day, every day or every other day, where you will be available for answering questions. This could be looking through Slack questions. It could be hosting a Zoom room. It could be sitting in a conference room where anyone can pop by. Whatever format it is, you're letting your team members know, hey, during the workday, I'm dealing with my meetings, I'm dealing with my email, my own work. And if you have questions, I want to make sure I'm available. These are the times that I will always be available to answer your questions, to check in with you, to look anything over that needs to get looked over. The second approach is to really encourage more independent thinking. So before someone comes to you, they've already thought through, here's some ideas I have, here's my recommendation. I'm really just looking for approval. And in this case, you would say something like, I'm happy to always answer questions, but in the future, I would love it if you would come to me with the problem or the question and what you think the options are, or what your recommendation is, or what you think the best approach is. And then we can just discuss those solutions and make sure that you're all set up straight. This will reduce the amount of time you have to spend when you are talking through something with the person and start to build their internal capability and muscles and confidence to be able to solve those questions on their own. Lastly, if interruptions continue to be a problem, this is a great moment to have a sit down and say, It's really hard to give you my full attention when I'm in the middle of my own work and you're asking questions and needing help. So I really like to figure out a situation that can work for both of us. And then figure out what kind of check-in system will help the person get the confidence and the structure that they need, and also give you the deep focus time work that you need. Scenario number 3 is the friend zone. This is more common when you were promoted over your team members. And so you were once more on their equal footing and you became good friends. And now you're supposed to be managing your team of people who you used to be really good friends with. Or maybe you just really like the people you work with. And so you're all really friendly with each other. And those friendships have grown beyond just the workplace. This becomes a problem when that friend zone starts to take over in ways that feel a little inappropriate. This could be things like a team member gossiping with you about another colleague, or it could be asking for special treatment or some exceptions because you're friends. So in these cases, you want to make sure that you clarify that you can have a relationship as friends outside of work, but in the workplace, it's important for you in your role to be equitable and fair across the board. You might say things like, I'm sorry you're having a hard time with that person, but it's really important for me to make sure that we are having positive and constructive conversations in the workplace. Or it could be saying something like, I know you really wanted to present with that client, but it's really important to me that everyone has an opportunity to present in front of clients so they can build the relationships and build those skills. Being kind and being friends doesn't mean you don't also have to hold your authority and your responsibilities at the forefront. So be friends. It's great to be friends with your coworkers. Just make sure that everyone understands that your job and your responsibilities come first. Scenario number 4, the after hours messenger. This was another client of mine who was really frustrated because her team members were emailing her and texting her at all hours of the day and all hours of the weekend. And she felt obligated to respond because she wanted them to be able to do their work. And if that's when they were working and that's what they chose, she wanted to make sure that she was supporting them to get their work done, because being flexible in their work hours was part of the way the team worked. But it was really taking a toll on her because she felt tied to her phone and she felt like she was letting her team members down if she wasn't constantly responding and enabling them to keep moving their work forward. So we talked it all through and realized that while, yes, she does want to be supportive, it's also really important for her to have her own recharge time and to be able to put her phone away and focus on her family or her own well-being. So here are a couple of ways to do that. First is just communicate clearly. I am so happy for you to work flexibly at any hours that work for you, but my schedule is a little different. And so during these hours between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. at night, I'm not going to be available. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to be doing other things. And so if you have questions, just know that I'm not going to check my email or I'm not going to check my texts until I go to bed. And that'll be, just my last quick check-in before I go to sleep. So don't expect anything from me sooner. Another approach you can take is to be really clear about what's urgent and what's not urgent. So don't let people text you at all hours of the day. If it's not urgent, have them send an email and you'll get to it when you get to it. Reserve the true interruptions, the things that are going to ping at you, for the most urgent things where they really do need a response right now. At the end of the day, creating boundaries is not about trying to shut people out or create some sort of distance. It's really about fostering an environment where you can have those healthy relationships where everyone can thrive. Clear expectations lead to respect and trust and shared understanding. It allows people to feel supportive without ever having to worry that they're crossing a line. So what are some boundaries that you've tried setting with your team or you would like to set? Please leave a comment below and let me know about it. And if there's something else you'd like me to cover on the show, please also give me a suggestion in the comments, as I would love to answer the questions that feel most resonant for you. Lastly, if you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button and check out my latest video.